Good morning, everyone. My name is Valerie, and I'm very glad to start the day with you today. Now, I don't know about you, but I was really challenged by Renee's words about justice this last weekend. And something that I was honestly convicted by is I realized that sometimes when I'm calling for justice, what I'm really calling for is judgment. I don't want to live out Micah 6:8 in those moments and act justly and love mercy and walk humbly. I want God to step in and start smiting what's bothering me. I want God to act. And while there's a part of that that's certainly godly and that longing for evil to be vanquished, if I'm being honest, often it's just me being fed up and wanting God to act against my personal list and what I'm bugged by right then. We live in a broken world. And this world is inherently unjust. Now, as Renee talked about this weekend, we see glimmers of justice all over the place. We see it in our courts and our first responders. We see so many glimmers of justice in the many ministries of this church and ministries around the world. But the world remains broken. So what do we do in the meantime about justice? Well, there are two verses in 1 Peter that always set me in the right direction when I'm struggling with the issue of how to be just in an unjust world. First of all, 1 Peter 2:23 shows me the example of Jesus. It's that character of God that we talked about on the weekend. And when Jesus was being crucified, Peter says when they hurled their insults at him, he did not retaliate. When he suffered, he made no threats. Instead, he entrusted himself to the one who judges justly. Jesus, who was sinless, who of all people had the right to scream, "This is unjust. I did nothing to deserve this." But even Jesus submitted himself to God's justice, and in the ultimate act of mercy, died in our place. He didn't retaliate. He trusted God's just plan and his timing. So what do we do when we're longing for justice? Well, I think we take Jesus' example also. We trust God's timing in things. But I think we also do what Renee talked about in the sermon. We start to look for those glimmers and think about those whatevers. Those whatevers are just. And beyond just looking, we engage in justice. We become ambassadors of justice, of God's heart. And I know for some of you, you may say, well, I'm not being treated justly. I'll act justly and love mercy and walk humbly when I see some of it coming my way. Well, that's when I go to my second verse in 1 Peter. 1 Peter 4:19, that says when we're being treated unjustly, we should commit ourselves to our faithful Creator and continue to do good. Continue to act justly, love mercy, walk humbly. In other words, don't give up. Don't give up on choosing to act justly. Don't give up on looking for those examples of justice in our broken world. Don't give up on making those little justice decisions every single day in your relationships, in your encounters with others. Because there's another great verse in the Bible that promises in due time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Don't give up on justice, because I promise you, God has not. I hope you enjoy this day ahead of you, and I look forward to seeing you in church.